In this video, I want to give you a tour of the parts that go into the fabric structure that I'm putting up here. And right now I'm sitting on the legs. So to understand how they work, just take a look here at this plan package that Calhoun sent me. The legs are these here. They're spaced all along the structure, and each leg has an angled top that accepts these trusses that form the actual roof. Now, you know, when you buy something, you don't really know what you're going to get unless you've seen it. And I didn't see any of this stuff before it arrived, but I have to say I'm super impressed with the quality and strength of everything. So let's just take a look here. First of all, this is hot dip galvanized, which means it could stay outside for centuries and it wouldn't rust. And it's a very heavy hot dip galvanizing. I checked with Calhoun, and they fabricate these and then they ship them out to a specialty shop that's got a vat that just galvanizes all of these parts. They get cleaned and submerged in molten zinc. That's what galvanizing is. It's zinc. So this has got a zinc coating on it, very resistant to rust. It has a kind of a galvanic protection action, and you know, even if the tarp wasn't on it, it's never going to rust. And base plate's another thing. I mean, super thick stuff. And if you look here on the plans, you can see there's different footprints depending on where the leg is. There's kind of regular legs, which go along here, and then there's the corner leg, which I believe it's this one here. It's got a bit of a different footprint on it. But we'll be getting much more familiar with all this as the video series goes on. But super impressed. I'm getting some ideas how we're going to hoist these in place. I don't yet know whether I should be mounting the legs on the concrete wall first, have a bunch of legs sticking up, and then put on the trusses on top, or whether we should do it all in one unit. I'm still deciding on that. One way or the other, we're going to need some sort of a sky lift arrangement to hoist these up. I mean, these are hundreds of pounds. It's definitely the kind of job where you need some heavy equipment, and you'll see that in action later. But after the legs here, let's go and take a look at these trusses. A close-up view of those as well. So these are the trusses as they were delivered, and once again, super thick hot dipped galvanizing. I don't think I've ever seen anything thicker than this. As you can see, this pile on its own doesn't really complete a full arch. So at the ends, there are connectors. You can see them down here at the end. There'll be some bolts that go through and connect them. One thing I'm not sure about is whether these trusses can support their own weight when carried from the top during installation. They're certainly strong enough to resist the downward force of anything that might go on the shelter, but how they would fare if it was picked up, I don't know. My plan is to be talking to some professional installers, assemblers, and see what they say, see how they do it. But that's basically it in a nutshell. There's another part too I'd like to take a quick look at before we look at the box of fittings that came with this, and that's the purlins that go across in horizontal pieces. So they're over on the other side of the site here. So these are the purlins. They're horizontal members that connect in various ways. You can see here in these detail view images that they're connecting to different places. I really am going to be learning a lot more about how all this goes together once I get working on it. So I'm still not completely familiar with all the parts, but it's the kind of thing that when you get into the job, it all becomes clear. And one last thing, the box of hardware and fittings, and as you can imagine, there's quite a few of them. So let's go over and take a look at those. So this is a box of hardware that came with the package. And there's a lot of things in here, and as I said, I'm going to be getting familiar with those. These are some strap clamps. They hold the tarp down to an anchor point. In my case, that anchor point will be on the legs. So once the cover has been pulled over the frame, those strap clamps can be tightened up and adjusted to hold it down tight. And if the cover gets loose in time, maybe after a month or so, if it's sort of shaking down, you can add tension with those ratchet clamps, like here, just kind of standard ratchet clamp stuff. And then we've got some nuts and bolts, some turnbuckles, because here on the plan you can see there are cables and turnbuckles that hold the ends tight and under tension from two diagonal directions, and that increases the strength a lot. Well, a whole bunch of nuts and bolts. I'll certainly be using my cordless impact wrench when we're putting all this together. And yeah, as I said, when it comes time to actually use this stuff, I'm going to lay out a couple of sheets of plywood on some sawhorses and just put all the parts there so I know what's what and what goes where, get familiar with everything. This last thing over here is the tarp itself. So this is actually the fabric that covers the whole arch of the shelter, and then there's the end wall tarps as well. I'm surprised at how small of a package this is, because this is a lot of fabric. I just imagined it was going to be a lot bigger and harder to deal with. The cover's rolled up, but it's the same material as the bag that it's in, and it's super tough. When people who aren't experienced with these fabric structures first hear about them, they think, oh, well, how long is that going to last? Surely the tarp that goes over everything is the weak link, and it's natural they'd think that, but a whole lot of research and development has gone into perfecting these covers, and they last a long time, 15, 20, 25 years. You can get different grades, but very tough. White is the most popular, and I've chosen white mostly because of what it does to the inside atmosphere of the place. When the cover is white, it lets a lot of light in. So much so, in fact, that you can actually even get significant heating within the structure during wintertime, cold weather, if it's closed off. If it's got walls and the doors are closed and everything, it can be 10, 15 degrees Celsius warmer inside than outside. So, and it's quite pleasant too. It's a diffuse light, very bright, looks great. So I can't wait to get underneath this with all my equipment. When it comes time to pull the cover over the frame, we'll be rolling it out on the ground, fastening some ropes to the tarp. There are actually some special hardware to make that work better. And then I'll have a crew of people here with ropes, and we'll just, on a very calm time, we'll pull it over the frame and then quickly start to fasten it down. All of this is coming up in who knows how many future videos, but I think it'll be an interesting project. Follow along with me, and I'll see you next time.